The girl made a good choice in leaving, even though she no longer had her own home to live in. She was now sleeping in between the two homes of the two new friends she had made. The group of couples wouldn't talk to her. They could only blame her, but she had never wanted to talk to them before and didn't care to now. The only ones who spoke to her were the couple with the big heart. The girl, who still felt loyal, kept quiet to these two about how the broken boy had broken them. The girl's sadness had started to quiet down. The pain that sobbed out of her before wasn't sobbing up anymore. She wasn't happy yet, not really, but she felt how she could make herself happy now. The girl could smile with her new friends and always went out with one of them. The girl talked to some new boys and started to go out with one of them. The girl wanted it to be her time to be happy. She had let the broken boy go so they could both be happy now. She didn't know that he wasn't ready to let her go off and be happy. The couple that had broken up met to break apart the pieces of their couple life, to break her off of their home and his car that she had taken the debt for with her name, to break his car off her papers that gave it her protection, to break apart the one account into two separate ones. They spoke and broke nothing. Then she told him, kindly, she would never forget what had been good between them and could never hate him. Without hesitation, he replied hatefully, I fucked this other girl. Her heart stopped and her hands covered her face. His heart laughed and his face smiled. Then he told her, I'm just kidding. I wanted to make you say I hate you. The girl left without saying those words or any others. She went back to the life where she was trying to be happy. She didn't know how to break off the pieces of her old life, and she didn't know that the broken boy wasn't done trying to break her. The girl met him again on another night he asked to see her. She didn't want to go, but he pushed her hard, and she didn't have enough power to push him away, to keep pushing for herself. She still felt her loyalty to the choice she had made to have a life with him, and didn't know how to let go of that promise. She knew too well how to work too hard to keep a broken life together. The boy worked hard to turn their night into a weekend, and she let it work. They spent it pretending they were still a couple. 2 days spent driving down all the roads they had once driven when they first moved there, looking at the big homes full of happy lives that they had once spoken about having. Nights spent together with no calls to interrupt them before they went to sleep next to each other. The girl set her sadness aside and let herself forget that sadness wouldn't let itself be forgotten. The first day of the week after that weekend, their time to pretend came to its end. That morning, he told her that she could sleep in their home's second room that night. Later that day, the boy called to tell her he wouldn't see her until later that night. Only, the boy wasn't seeing who the girl was becoming. She wasn't the same girl that had slept next to him before, and she wasn't going to sleep through what he was doing like she had before. That night, the girl went to see for herself and went where he said he would be with some other boy. The girl knew what she would see now that she was looking, and it was exactly what she saw. She sat herself down with the boy, this other girl, and the bottle of wine between them. She looked at them with her quiet sadness and asked, do you know you're killing me? They stayed silent in the face of her sadness, then turned their backs to walk away from her. The girl, who didn't want to stay silent any longer, followed this other girl. She asked her quiet question one more time. This other girl looked at her with her small, hard eyes. Then the boy called, and she only had to say, she's here. The phone was handed to her, and the boy told the girl with his quiet coldness, get away from her. She moved herself away, but she couldn't get away from the boy, who would go even further to break her. Before too long, he came back to the girl to ask her to kindly come back to him for longer than one weekend. The girl knew she didn't want to go back. He told her everything would be different. The girl knew nothing would be different. He told her he wanted their old life back before this other girl came into it. The girl knew she wanted the new life she was starting, with her new friends and a new boy. Only, she still didn't know how to break off this old life. Her new life was still too in between both lives, too in between other people's homes for her to hold on to. So she broke off her new life and went back to live with him. But she couldn't go back and live. Their life, back together, lasted longer than one weekend, but it didn't last much longer. The girl couldn't forget everything the boy had done, and all the pain she felt was still hurting her. The voice inside her pushed her to speak out. The girl, who still wouldn't yell, couldn't stop speaking. Not even that one time, and then the next, he used his hands to threaten her, to stop her from speaking the feelings he didn't want to hear. He pressed them against her throat when she wouldn't stop pressing him with her words. Pressing her back against a wall, he trapped her, but she couldn't stay trapped in this broken life much longer. One afternoon, after nothing had happened and nothing had changed, the girl broke her promise to live this broken life she had never wanted. She couldn't escape the sadness while living with him, and she couldn't live with this sadness any longer. She was done now. She told him they were really done now. She told him he was going to have to move out of her house now. The boy responded with silence, then left the house, only to come back in the late hours. The girl heard him outside and knew what she was hearing. She went out to see the boy on another one of his calls with this other girl. She broke now. The girl, who knew a yell wouldn't change anything, started yelling. Yell after yell from outside to in, downstairs to up, and back and forth from their room to the second. The girl's yells kept growing louder. The boy told her to stop, but she couldn't stop herself. So he stopped her, with a hard slap of anger from the back of his hand to the side of her face. The slap, that was harder than any slap of fear she had ever felt, made her feel more fear than she had ever felt. The tears of pain from the months of torment started sobbing out of her. She tried to back herself away from what was hurting her and backed herself against a wall. The broken boy followed her back. His hands circling her throat, his lips to her ear, his threat got louder. He whispered, "If you don't stop crying, I'll kill you." The girl believed he could. Finding the strength to stop, she never found out if he would. Everything stopped now. The boy took his time leaving her house. Not a lot, but enough. He slept alone in the room that had been theirs. She slept in the second room, where he once tried to send her and then threatened her. Over and again, she woke up in the late hours, the ones she had gotten used to sleeping through alone. She wasn't alone now. The broken boy was sat in the dark with his back to the door, watching her with a broken look. He didn't want to break her now. He told her he didn't want to lose her now. Over and again, he asked her to give him another chance. She kept telling him, "You already lost me."
What's the name of the book? Excuse me? Who Broke the Girl? Available on Amazon.